I play in the Drowns from Seattle. Almost a decade now, 8-9 years, and I mean, if I was to describe the sound, I would say it's a mixture of. We're influenced by a lot of street punk and oi, but also like Thin Lizzy and a lot of glammy stuff. I'm a huge Slade fan, so a lot of glam, bava rock kind of stuff. But then also like a lot of the traditional punk stuff too. Like I'm a massive Ruts fan. So we're from Seattle, obviously, and everybody's gonna say talk about grunge, which is understandable. That's what we were known for so long. We couldn't be farther from a lot of that, to be honest. There was a lot of great punk bands, though, at that time. When all the grunge bands were blowing up, there's a lot of great punk bands. Like, I'm a huge fan of a band called Gas Huffer. There's bands like Coffin Break that were these amazing punk bands at that time. But the Northwest in general, it's very similar weather-wise to England. So, a lot of people are staying inside and trying to be creative while it's pissing rain outside. So, there's always been a good punk scene there, and there's always been a good community feeling. And I would say that community feeling probably influenced our music a lot. I think a good place, maybe of where it started, was a lot of clubs wouldn't book a lot of punk bands for a little while, and we didn't have many clubs that, in general, like they wanted, shows that made money, which I obviously understand as a business. But there was a huge community of house shows, and like basement shows, backyard shows, and that came straight out of like punk bands not having anywhere to play. And so we were like, well, fuck it, we'll do our own shows, and we'll charge whatever we want, make them all ages and stuff like that. And so I think that was the beginning of where the community feeling started. But then you start to punk has a way of weeding out the dickheads. Like, sooner or later you start to, some of our idols are fucking, we now know are huge pieces of shit. And it's like, punk kind of does that. And so I think what the community comes from is you start to go like, oh, well, these guys are such fuckers, and there's so many of them that I gotta hang on to these people a lot because they're worth it, and they're just like me. And so I think for us, we do that with bands all the time. Like tonight's gig that you and I are at, it's friends of ours. And that's, the Clobber guys are like our friends. We love them to death. And I think that's what keeps it going. Finding good people, helping good people, and going from there. Specifically, we tour so much every year that we are over in Europe and the UK a lot, and so now we've developed these like friends who we will love for the rest of our lives, but they are really far away. So that's like the downside. I mean, the internet obviously helps, social media, things like that help, but it is a catch-22. On one hand, I've been able to find, to bring it back to that last question, it's like I've been able to find this community and this network of people who I see eye to eye with on a lot of things, and I care about, and they care about me. But also the downside is that they do live on the other side of the ocean, so it's like, I can only physically see them every now and then. But it's worth it, man. We're gone from home so much that it really, seeing friends like that makes it not as hard.
Yeah, almost family more than friends.
It truly does, man. It truly, truly does. But and there are people in the UK. Specifically, there are so many people who come to multiple shows because it's a little bit easier drive-wise in the UK, obviously in the US. But so we get to see our friends for a few days. And it's one of those things that just like kind of softens the blow of being a traveling musician for a living, which can be really isolating. We do hotels every night. It's like those hotels all look the same. You don't really see the city that much when you're inside the hotel or in a green room. So seeing those friends really kind of help you through it. I've always just done it, and I'll continue to just do it because it's a part of me, and creating music is all I know how to do anymore. So I'll always do it no matter whether there's money there or not. But it's a huge bonus that it is that this band has the ability to travel the world doing this, which is unreal. I was just talking to somebody at a show yesterday in Reading, And I told him a quote that a friend of mine said years ago. He said, everyone needs water, and everyone needs food, and everyone needs air. No one needs music to survive. So if they paid for it, you deserve them everything you've got. And that kind of seems to be a theme. It's like, I get in a lot of interviews I get asked about like my output of like, it's like, is it cool for me to get to do this as my job? Absolutely. But also, I need the inspiration. Like someone in the crowd goes to a show and gets inspired. I'm finding that as a person, I need to be on stage being inspired. Like I have to have that feeling that I'm creating and that, we're sharing in those moments together. It's become a huge part of my personality. I was in those crowds wanting to be inspired.
Yeah.
And now I'm on, I also still go to shows. So I'm still in those crowds, but it's like, now I'm on the other side and I have a job to do. And that job is not to make a ton of money and it's not to fucking sell records. That job is to inspire folks just like I was. And so that's what I try to do. I think other people have different views on that, but for me, that's what it's all about. And that's what it'll always be about. Grind. It'll always be a grind. Always. It'll always be a grind. Even people who, I have friends who are incredibly wealthy from music. It's a grind for them too. Just the grind changes every day. Yeah, they can pay their bills and stuff, but a lot of them, have their own stories of how it's affected them, and it's tough to do. Creating in general is a hard thing. You're getting a piece of yourself every single night. Like if you're on the stage, you're reinventing yourself every single fucking day. And it's also very sensitive. You're, with us specifically, it's like I'm not singing songs about how tough I am. And I'm not singing songs about, arguably the opposite, but I'm not singing songs about shit I don't know about. Every single lyric that I've ever written has been about something that I absolutely know about. And it's about my story. And I'm trying to tell it as good as I can every single night. And I think if you have the fucking urge inside of you to create, and you ever stifle it, it won't go away. So facilitating that is the only advice I can give. Just go, go, go. If you're gonna play shows, play nonstop. Play as much as you can, wherever you can. Travel. If you're afraid you're not good enough, keep playing. You'll get good enough. That's how it works. You just repetition. You go, go, go. But if you believe in it, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if anybody listens. Like Andy, our bass player, and I were in another band. And at the end of that band's career, I was pretty flustered and stifled. I didn't feel like I was a part of anything anymore. And what I realized is I was like, I've been trying to write songs that are for other people, what I think other people want to hear. Whether it's hits or whether it's like, what I think people wanted from me. And so one of the things that we swore to do with the Drowns was not to do that. We would only do songs that make us happy, songs that make us feel good, and songs that we think are great, and then we would go from there. And that's when people actually started giving a shit. You know what I mean? It's because we can all relate to that sensitivity. Life's tough, Toughest guy in the world still loves his mom and likes the cold side of his pillow at night. You know what I mean? It's like, that's just how it goes, dude. Like, so I think there is a time and a place for music that's not as serious and sincere. There is a time and a place for it. There's a reason why Guar is amazing, But for us, this is what we do and this is how we survive. And I think on our level, that's what it's all about. It's creating those emotional experiences. And so we try to do that every night. And that was a long-winded answer, but to anyone who's creating, it's like, don't ever stop it. Don't ever stop. Just don't. Because if you try, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. I mean, and it's one of those things to where, like, you know, I'm sure, like, you're a cinema guy, so I'm sure that, like, when you watch American movies as a kid, you thought about these places and wanted to go there. You know, like today, again, I've been there multiple times, but today I still walk to the Clash steps in Camden. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to go there. The first time I heard the first Clash record, it changed my life forever. And I feel like you could hear tons of, or feel is probably the right word, a ton of the Clash in what we do. And so that was the beginning of my love for UK bands. Like, you know, I'm 40. I didn't get hit with the Beatles and stuff, like, you know, people older than myself. But for me, it was like, I heard that Clash record, it was like, oh shit, what's this? And and then I heard Stiff Little Fingers. And I was like, oh shit, what is this? You know? And then I heard the Ruts and was like, what the fuck? Like, they blew my mind, you know? And then also, like, a lot of the two-tone ska bands I'm a huge fan of. And so it's cool to kind of retrace those steps and see things from album art. I'm a fucking nerd and a collector, so it's like to see things from photos from records that I had when I was a kid and see where they're from. And we were just in Belfast like last week, and I'm a huge Rory Gallagher fan. You know, to tie the two conversations together, that guy never wavered. He never let anyone tell him, like, no one could step on his creativity or control it. He wouldn't do singles. That's why most of the rest of the world never knew him, was he wouldn't do singles. People were like, you need a single. He was like, fuck singles. I write what I feel. So that guy was like, I mean, he's punk as shit.
Yeah, punk as fuck. Yeah.
But so we went to there's a huge statue up in front of like Ulster Hall out there in Belfast. So we went and saw that. And that was super cool. But no, it's rad. It's rad to be able to just be here amongst it's kind of like walking in your dreams when you were a kid. You know what I mean? Like, I have those dreams from when I was a kid, and all of a sudden, like, I get to walk around. And, you know, for you guys, it's Camden. You know, and that's the end of it. Like, if you guys came to Seattle, like, if someone is a grunge fan and comes to Seattle, I'm like, yeah, it's, you know, this is for Seattle. And that's the end of my thought, because I'm so used to it. But I have to try to remind myself when I show people around my city that they're seeing it for the first time, and they have this image from Nirvana records and Pearl Jam records, and that it's special to them. And so that's what every time I come here, that's what it is. It's like me, kind of 12-year-old me finding that first Clash record again. I try to remind myself that. Like, this is everything I wanted. And notice I'm not rich, and I don't have, like, you know, a fucking big house and shit. It's like, this is everything I wanted. To be able to make a career with my friends, creating music in all over the world, specifically in places where I was inspired by the artists, is a blessing, man. It's awesome.